Hello and welcome to the Power of 3D Story Friday afternoon website homepage teardown. That's right. Welcome to Go Narrative, and I am super excited to be here with you today because you have taken a few minutes out of your busy day to try get better at something super important. And as we all know, that super important thing is nothing other than story, you want to say telling, don't you? And I'm going to stop you right there. It's not just about the telling, it's about the story. How can you tell something you don't understand? Well, I guess we do bump into people that do try that, but you know what I mean. You want to do the right thing. You want to tell a story that you actually understand. That's why it's so important to focus on the core of it. And as we go out there into the world and we look around and ask ourselves the question, is that a good story? Is that a good story? We might look at websites, we might look at advertising, we might be at a presentation, a keynote at one of our providers or one of our partners. If you're in business, you are literally surrounded by stories all the time. Whether or not those are being told well is another thing. Whether or not those are understood well is even deeper. And as I mentioned, websites are one of the key places that we see stories show up. There are best first foot, if you will, out there into the world. Just like turning up to an event, you're faced with whatever's in that room when you walk in, right? The beginning of that experience. Or you go sit down and the keynote's about to start and then it begins. That's the first part of that experience. And if you're out there trying to make decisions for your business, investing in software, services, partnerships, where do you go? Of course, you go to the web. You go to Google. You Google it. Maybe you Google it with Bing. And I'm still hooked on Bing. Ex-Microsoft employee here. And the points, man, the points get me because little secret is I do like to play Xbox and a bit of Halo, for example. And it's kind of nice to get free money on the system. This is not sponsored in any way, shape or form. I'm explaining to you why I would be Googling with Bing rather than with Google. And it's actually pretty much the same thing nowadays anyway. What's the big disruptor though? AI, right? Searching with AI. I'm actually searching more and more with AI nowadays. But that's where we go, whether it's AI, Bing, Google, other search engines, that's where we start our journey. And we could be a complete novice to the topic, or we could be a seasoned old hand. But when we go and put those fingers on the keyboard or use Siri to talk into our phone, we're putting a request in there, we're putting some information in there, and we're starting that journey. And then we start clicking, right? Tapping or clicking, and we start to see those websites. Therefore, if we're not making the effort that we need to make to get up and show up like we need to on the website, we're going to miss opportunity. But it's hard, right? Because we've got a lot of things on our plate. Small businesses are trying to juggle a lot of balls. Big businesses are dealing with a lot of politics and juggling a lot of balls. There's pros and cons to both. And I can tell you that, having spent time in both, a lot of time in both. But that impact on your story and what we're talking about here is profound. So thinking that through, spending the time on it, even if it's a simple story on your website. Simple doesn't mean easy. It means some hard work for you, but it makes it easier for the people who eventually land on your website. That means you're here because you want to know about story and storytelling, and you want to have a bit of fun with us while we go and look at some poor unsuspecting victim's website. And that is what today is all about. That's what we love doing on Friday afternoons, is we take the power of 3D story, and we go and we look at a website, or maybe a few today, and have a look at what people are doing well and what people are, shall we say, doing absolutely terrible at. Come on, it's okay. It's okay to be bad at some stuff. I'm bad at some things. I'm bad at a lot of things, but I do spend a lot of time on this storytelling topic. And it all started a long time ago. And when we think about the marketing that we have to do for our businesses, I've spent a lot of my career in marketing. That homepage is the crown jewel for so many businesses. And that's why we do these teardowns. Because if you're not getting your homepage right, pretty good indicator that you might be screwing up in other places too when it comes to storytelling. Now, look, there's a lot of things you got to worry about in business. I get it. But story is one of the things you need to worry about. You got a car, you have to worry about the windshield wipers, the windshield wiper fluid. Yeah, I am dealing with that right now. You got to worry about the tires. You got to worry about the oil change, right? There's lots of things you have to do. Story should be one of those things for your business, because if it's not, then you're going to be tripping up. But I'm so excited to have you here today, because we are going to be talking about how you can put this into practice, because practice and practicality is what I'm all about. It's what business is all about at the end of the day. We can be practical and we can do things in an effective way with our websites, with our stories, and we're going to have more impact. We're going to be able to do what we want to do. Now, my story with storytelling goes way back. My story with story goes way back. My story with storytelling in business goes way back. My story with story goes all the way back to the very beginning. I was forged in story. I had some experiences in my early life. Let's just say they weren't ideal, maybe a little bit on the dark side. One of which was we lived in a building site. Not to put too fine a term on it. My young parents at the time, struggling to make ends meet, yet also having this dream of owning a beautiful Georgian townhome in England, they found a fixer-upper and they moved in with a 6-month-old baby. This guy right here. And it just so happens that a building site is not the safest place for a baby. Maybe that's why I was always so drawn to building sites later on. And the signs that said no entry and kids keep out in particular, and me and my friends would go in and play in the building sites. I mean, they were pretty exciting, but maybe for me it had some deeper meaning, right? Anyway, laddering this back up, why am I even telling you this? Well, I had to spend bedtime, nap time, and any time my increasingly pregnant mother needed me out from under her feet in this chaotic environment, I had to be sent to my bedroom, which was the one bedroom in the house that was safe. And it was such a dangerous house. Outside that bedroom, there was a hole in the floor that went down not just 3 flights of stairs, but 4, all the way to the stone ground of the cellar. So as you can imagine, locking the baby in there was of paramount importance. So poor little Matthew didn't want to have to go to the attic, did he? But if there was something going on and mum needed to deal with something, that might be what had to happen. So it happened. And I needed to find ways to make it not happen. So I needed to try and understand what was going on, how to adapt to it, how to communicate even before being able to speak, maybe entertain my mother a little bit, maybe try and take her on a little mini journey away from how she felt right then to maybe she could have Matthew with her while she answered the door and dealt with whoever was coming to deliver some stuff that her and my dad were going to be using to fix the house up that day. Long and the short of it, I've spent my entire life telling stories. And at another time, I can share the story with how that continues, and often to lots of moving around the world. But for today, I'm going to fast forward to 2012, where I got a tap on the shoulder and an offer to be chief storyteller for Microsoft Dynamics. And I was thrilled. Look, I've written a couple of science fiction novels, both of which are technically at a certain stage of completion, but also technically, definitely 100% need some work. So when I got, and I have, to my my shame, I have to admit that the second one of those I finished, quote unquote, just as I started working for Microsoft in 2007. But in 2012, I got a tap on the shoulder to do this amazing gig. I was going to get paid to be a storyteller. Wow, how fantastic. And I threw myself into it. I was super excited. And I thought to myself, I wonder if there's any good frameworks or processes or methods out there. I mean, I knew of the classic storytelling tropes around the hero's journey and all that kind of stuff. So I went and I looked to see if there was any business ones. And there were attempts to take these things from literature and apply them to business, but there wasn't anything specifically for business. And you know what happened? I panicked. It's like, what am I going to do? Well, I can be a story translator. I know I can do that. I'm going to be doing that anyway. I'll throw myself into it. And that's what I did. But I panicked because I thought, I'm going to have to do so much more of a lift there, right? Than if there was some tools that could make it easier for me. Think about the simple tool analogy we used a few minutes ago of a car, right? If you've got to drive to that 20-minute appointment and you don't have a car, yeah, you could get a lift or you could get a taxi or something or ride a bike. But if you didn't have any tools at all, you had to walk, it's going to take you a lot longer, right? So take the car, right? And if we have one, we do that. Or we use one of those other tools to do so. That's why I was looking for a tool, because I wanted to make things easier and faster for me so I could focus on the story that we were trying to tell for Microsoft Dynamics. And it was a big deal at the time. Microsoft Dynamics was fighting for relevance within the company. It was run at that time by Satya Nadella, who you may recognize his name now, and he was moving on to, shall we say, bigger and better things. And as I was joining, he was actually just leaving the organization, and we needed to figure out what our story was. We had to go head to head with organizations like Office. Okay, Xbox. I mean, talk about having a lot of great opportunities for story, Xbox, right? In Dynamics, with financial systems and enterprise resource planning, this was a big subject with a lot of very yawn-inducing details. And we needed to find a way to get the company to care, to get all the employees to care, and also, of course, to get our partners and customers to continue caring. And that was the task I faced. So you can imagine that I panicked, and why I panicked, right? And I don't want you to panic. I want you to be able in your journey to apply storytelling to business. And importantly, as I mentioned a few minutes ago, not just the telling, but it all starts with figuring out what the story is. Now, you might also remember what I mentioned in regards to where I looked and what I was aware of, right? And that one of those things was the hero's journey. So why is Matthew saying the hero's journey isn't something that we should be using for business? Well, the thing is, the hero's journey, even the concept of a hero itself, came from not just from literature, it came from an analysis of literature. Look, when Homer sat down and wrote the Iliad or the Odyssey, he didn't have the hero's journey to work from. He didn't design that. He didn't find that scrawled on some cave wall somewhere or written on some stone tablet or on a piece of papyrus somewhere, did he? He wrote the book. He wrote the story. And he channeled all of his knowledge and his experiences into that. When most people sit down to write a novel, most novelists have the novel inside them and it comes out. And they don't necessarily sit down and think about what that structure is. That's not saying that you can't. And that's not saying that some people don't. And in fact, because we have the tools now, you can do that. But the hero's journey didn't come first. The stories came first. And then the hero's journey was a analysis and a decoding of the patterns that we saw in all these stories. And some versions of the hero's journey have like 17 steps of them. Why am I telling you this, you might think? Well, ladder it up all the way back to the topic we're talking about. Business story. Business storytelling. Is this the right tool for the job? Is it a hammer when we need a screwdriver? That was I was running into. And being a story geek, of course, I have a huge amount of respect for Joseph Campbell's work and for the hero's journey. And I find it fascinating, and it's really interesting to see the patterns show up in literature and in movies. And it's been helpful for me as I think about storytelling, because I go really deep into it and I'm looking at all sorts of different types of storytelling, right? I'm curious about how storytelling is used in not just books and movies, but in poems or in haiku or in music. There's something so fundamental about this, and that is what we have to grab a hold of. It's our operating system. That is why all of these different forms of story exist, and the reason why they exist naturally in our lives and our businesses. Once we start to understand that, we can step back and we can look at the big picture. Now, as I was looking for tools, I also had people say, well, Matthew, if you can just do beginning, middle, and end, then you'll be golden. Make sure you got a beginning, middle, and wrap it up nicely. I was like, okay, say what? What do I do at the beginning? How far back do I go? In the middle, I can think about the end. Come to the middle later. At the end, is that it's business? We always do a call to action in our presentations. Is that what we're talking about? Is it something else? Do we have to wrap it up in some way? Like, what does it look like? How do movies and books do this? What do I do at the end there? And then, now I've got the middle to worry about. How much do I put in the middle? Is it about how do I do the connection from the beginning to the end? We're in trouble again. We had this too complicated 17-step hero's journey framework. And then we've got this beginning, middle, and end. Another one that I love, but I also like to pick on, is the and, but, therefore framework, which brilliantly the creators of South Park came up with, Trey Parker and Matt Stone. And they use it in every single episode, and they use it as a tool. But when you're using it intentionally for a website, for example, there's a couple of problems you run into. One of them is quite simply, why is it and but? Do we say something and something else and something else? And then when do we do the but? How many ands do we have? Because the part of the reason for the but is to not do big lists of things. And then the therefore is that, how is that the end of the story? Is that the beginning of the story? Is that where I introduce myself? Again, simple framework comes with a problem, and that is abstraction. When something's abstract, we can draw a lot of different things from it. Think about abstract painting and the constant debate anytime you hear about abstract painting, even to the point of some people saying, that Jackson Pollock isn't art, it's just, I could throw paint against the wall, right? And then people who look at it and say, well, maybe it's something to do with the representation of, because there's so much red in it, maybe it's to do with anger. And somebody else looks at it and they say, well, patterns in this way must mean that it's about the society and the cycle of destruction and creation that we as humans tend to okay, it's abstract, you draw from it. Anybody looks at any painting, you draw from it. The more structure there is to it, the clearer it is what it is, the simpler it appears to be. Now, don't get me wrong, that doesn't mean there's hidden messages and meaning dripping in that painting. And it doesn't mean you couldn't take amazing things from that painting. But it does mean that it's up for anybody's guesses when it's a Jackson Pollock. And the problem with too simple, the paint against the wall, is it's too abstract. And so here I was, too complicated, too abstract. What am I gonna do? What do I want to do? I need a Goldilocks moment. I need something that somehow straddles these two worlds and makes it easy for business people like me to get this done. Now, I'm going to hit pause there because I didn't solve that problem in 2012 or 2013, 14, 15, or 16, or 17. Didn't even start it in 17 when I started Go Narrative. I solved it shortly afterwards as I started sitting down with a broader, diverse group of business owners and businesses and looking at it from lots of different perspectives. And that's when I started to figure out how this was going to work. And that brings us to what we're talking about today. Think about your day today. Go all the way back to the very beginning. And if you're listening to a recording and you just woke up, go to yesterday. Go all the way back to the beginning of the day. You woke up, you got up, you started tackling the day and however you like to do it. Maybe you're a very structured person. You get up and you go to the gym really early or something like that. Maybe you're more of a creative person and you have a moment of reflection in the morning, maybe with meditation or journaling. And then you started getting into your day. And as you were looking at what you were thinking about for the day, there was something that you wanted to achieve. Maybe it was making good on going and working out. Maybe it was building this habit of meditating first thing in the morning. Maybe it was that big sword of Damocles hanging over your head with that absolute nightmare project that you're dealing with that's just falling apart and you don't know what to do and you feel like your livelihood is on the line and that sword is destined to snap and fall at any moment and you have to figure out what you're going to do. Or you could be excited. You could have made so much progress on something the day before. You could be delivering a presentation to a client or to your boss and you're figuring out how that's going to work today. You want to do that thing. That is the first step in figuring this out. Remember what I said a little bit earlier about story being your operating system? That's exactly what we're talking about right now. Storytelling is your operating system. Here's the thing, people. All of us right now are, and I'm going to invoke Will Storr in his book, The Science of Storytelling. And I'm going to tell you that right now, you are trapped in a pitch black prison. So am I. So is every other human being on this planet. And that pitch black prison is our skull. Everything in your world, all of your memories, all of your loves, all of your hates, all the things you want to do in life, all the people you've ever known are curled up and connected in bundles of neurons and gray matter and white matter inside your head. Your entire life story is in there. And the story that is happening to you right now is in there. But you say, Matthew, I can see around me, or I can hear. If I'm lucky enough to have all my senses, I can see, feel, hear, touch, taste, all of it. I'm not in a pitch black prison. Well, here's the thing. All of what you're seeing is actually not out there. It's in your brain. Your senses are taking that data and they are putting it into your brain, and your brain is, first of all, building the environment around you, the stage, if you would like to use some storytelling parlance, but it's putting the environment around you together. And in there, that thing you want to do today is a part of this picture. You are putting yourself into this environment, and all of those things you want and all of those things you need are also there with you inside there. That is fundamental. That is the reason why this first step of understanding any story is, what do I want right now? As you start to understand the basic building block of this one story, you are setting yourself up to understand all stories. And of course, then the telling of them. And that is the beauty of this. Now, do we always get what we want in life? Unfortunately not. Things stand in the way. There's obstacles, right? That sort of Damocles I was talking about is one of them. If only life was so easy to always give us what we wanted, right? But it's not. And that's the second part of this operating system. Now we're in the environment. Okay, great. We figured out what we need to do, what we want to do. So, whether it's a need or a want, whether it's our motivations to go and do something, or whether it's we better get this thing done, otherwise we're going to be in hot water, it's the same thing. And then we go and try and do it. What could these be? It could be, I'm thirsty, so I want some water. I have some water here, so I can grab it. I've achieved it. That's a pretty simple thing. Not much stood in the way. A couple things did stand in the way. One is the water's getting kind of low, and I'm thinking to myself, I'm doing a stream. Do I have enough water for the whole stream? Secondly, I'm a bit self-conscious that drinking this with the microphone right here, you're going to hear it and it's going to sound kind of gross and it's going to put you off a little bit. So that's standing in my way, right? And if that's high stakes situation and I'm parched, that could actually lead to a really, really big difficulty, right? A really big challenge. But in this case, I solved that. I solved the problem, the need, by reaching over and grabbing it and then making a little bit of a joke about it. So it's not just the solution. It's not just the getting the water. It's also the other parts of that knot that I'm untangling, making the joke so that if there was a yucky slurpy sound when Matthew did that, that it didn't come off quite as nastily because maybe we made light of it, right? And that is this second part, moving into the third one, which is finding the way through. And finding the way through is about untangling that knot. It's not just the solution. And this is the problem that businesses run into, right? This is the problem that we frequently see in a lot of websites. So we're going to have a look in just a moment now, is we don't consider the big picture of our customer. We get myopic. It's understandable, especially in tech. You've got a complicated product. You have to learn about it. You might have some worries about how you're showing up to other people. I can tell you from being inside Microsoft and Intel and the sort of the knowledge one-upmanship that happens in those companies, you want to be seen as knowing your stuff and to come across as knowing your stuff. And you go into a meeting with 20, 30 people from maybe the field organization or from a global partner within the company, the global organization for your subsidiary, for example. Like when I was in Microsoft Office, we're in the US subsidiary, but we would meet with the global team. And I've got a story about the product Microsoft Link and guessing its name and causing a furore, which is a fun story. If you want to hear that one, make a comment in the comments or ping me about that one. And you walk into these rooms and you don't know all the people in there necessarily. Maybe you've emailed with them, maybe you've seen them on a Teams call or a Zoom call, and maybe you haven't. Maybe you're not connecting the dots on the people, and there can be some anxiety in that of how you come across, right? And wanting to look smart. Unfortunately, that combined with the curse of knowledge of generally just trying to learn all this stuff in a corporation or even in a smaller company of making sure you understand the product and the customers and the market and everything, you can get hyper-focused and myopic on yourself. And this is outside in effect that happens. And what I want you to do is I want you to do the inside out. Let's look outside at our customers and how they're trying to untangle this knot, because you want something, they want something, right? They got up this morning and they started their day, and maybe they had the sword of Damocles hanging over their head, right? So they had to tackle that. And then how do they tackle it? There were things standing in the way. How do they navigate it around that? And then how do they start to untangle that knot? At that point, it's very, very important that you think about the big picture. Now, the beauty of the Power of 3D Story is you are already starting to do that by thinking in their perspective. It's a forced empathy tool. It's getting you to think about what do they want? What stands in their way? It's built to do that. And it's built to do that because storytelling is from story, and story is our operating system, and it's everybody's operating system. So once you start to understand these three basic things, the desire that people want, the difficulty that stands in the way, you basically end up doing a better job of being empathetic, even if you don't have the highest EQ in the world. So it's a really powerful tool, and it's really important as you start to try and apply the power of 3D story, because if you keep practicing it and you keep using it, it's going to give you that foundation. Now, it's not the end. And in fact, we have a playbook, the Storytelling for Action playbook. The Power 3D Story is the first play in this book, but there's others too. There's Meet Your Customers Where They Are, which is morals, essential emotions, and truths. There's the big story, there's the narrative that you're thinking about, the trips, storytelling, coaching that we do around that, the transformation, the reasons to believe, your innovation and how it fits into that, and then the problems along the journey of the transformation in the marketplace, and then all the stories for all of that, the stories in the transformation, the stories and the reasons to believe from the market, the innovation, the stories from your company, the problems, the stories from your customers, and how they're navigating their way through that and how you're helping them, the big picture of that, all the stories in between and underneath. And all of those stories use the power of 3D story. But if you don't get this right, you can't do any of the other stuff that we do with Go Narrative. And again, look, I want to keep this stuff really accessible and really practical. And one of the best ways of doing that is when we take these three things together, the desire, the difficulty, and the denouement, it gives us that ability to look at the story from all angles. And we are going to do that right now. And we're going to shift gears a little bit, and we're going to do a screen sharing, because I have got some fun for us to have. So let's do that right now. And we're also going to have a bit of fun with AI as a part of this. Okay, here we go. Sharing screen action. A bit of luck, you should all be seeing this now. So today I've picked the industry of real estate and facilities technology. But every area of business and life nowadays, you always find some technology companies somewhere within it. Whether it's construction, insurance, property management, real estate and facilities, you name it, right? Accounting, there's technology everywhere. As somebody who has grown up on technology, who loves technology, it's wonderful to see how far the world has come with this stuff. And it's thrilling and also terrifying to see where it's going with AI. And I have a whole hypothesis on how we can save humanity from AI. If you want to know about that one, leave a message in the comments, because storytelling is at the heart of it. Okay, so we got some websites here. Let's have a look, shall we? One of the first things I love to do when I look at these is I love to ask myself the question, what am I feeling? Do I feel anything? Am I feeling? Because feeling is connection. People don't act if they don't feel. It's actually the first law of thermodynamics. Newton's law that a body in motion will stay in motion unless an equal or opposite force acts upon it. This is actually physics, okay? This is why story is so important. It's so fundamental. It connects into this stuff. So if I don't feel anything when I come to a website, it's going to make it harder for me to act. So what are we seeing here? Well, for starters, I'm starting to get a bit of motion sickness by the constant changing here. So can we stop it? Can we hit pause on this? Is that possible? Because if not, it's going to drive me crazy. And JLL and their first foot forward into the world is going to get a slap across the wrist from me on that one. Looks like I might have stopped it by clicking on it. Thank you, JLL. Thank you for providing that functionality. Now, as we start to look at these, if you own these websites, a couple of things. And first of all, a note to everybody. JLL and the others we're going to have a look at today, and all the others we always look at, did not give us permission to do this. This is a complete surprise. However, it's your website, and I'm a storyteller, and I spend my days doing business storytelling and my nights telling all sorts of different stories. But this is where you meet me, right? And this is where you meet your customers. And quite frankly, this is free consulting. So don't complain, listen, and learn. Second thing is, if you own this website, I get it. I own a website today. I own our website. And keep me honest. Anything I say today does not jibe with what you see on our website. I want to hear it. And in fact, I want to hear it. Here's the email. You can send me an email. Okay. So I look at this website. Do I feel anything? Oh, that was what I was going to say. You own this website. I get it. One of my best friends used to run Microsoft.com, and I met him when he was running Microsoft.com. And as an owner of one of these websites, whether it's a small business or a big business, as you are, in the bigger businesses, more politics, you're dealing with a lot of stakeholders. I mean, if we look at the different parts of JLL and look us.jll, we got global companies, right? Global perspectives. There's a lot of pressure. If you own the JLL website, you have my sympathy for the complexity that you're trying to land on here. Now, if you have allies in the business, such as the CEO, the CMO, who can help you make this better with storytelling and get your story straight, fantastic. If not, point them into this video, and it's not your fault because you're trying to do the right thing for everybody at the company, and that is tough. It's really important to say, and I want to make sure that we say that. Okay, shifting gears back into me being a little bit picky about story. So what do I feel? Global real estate perspective. Explore property sectors. Oh, it's a little bit funky here we go. So property market trends and prospects. Who are we speaking to here? We're probably speaking to somebody that knows the market. If you're searching for this stuff, you may well be aware of the category of technology. You may have in-house tech and you're finally looking to buy new tech, or you might be upset with your current provider, and JLL are a potential shift for a rip and replace of what you're doing, right? Maybe you're outsourcing it today and you want to insource it, and JLL are going to be able to help you with that maybe. So that you could be approaching this from the point being, your desire could be to get deeper into it quicker. Your desire could be to just understand if this is a sort of company that's going to help me with my problem. And if I've got a problem, I've got that sword of Damocles hanging over my head. I'm feeling something about that. And am I feeling something with this website that's going to help me with that? I'm certainly not in that situation going to feel it about global real estate perspective or the outlook for 2025. Maybe I'm curious about this stuff, but still, okay, great. I'm probably looking at analyst reports and stuff too. So you guys selling me something, or you just giving me this a news site for this topic, right? Oh, so you do have products. Falcon, look, oh, AI. We're going to see the word smart today, I promise you. Smarter. It's smarter. Everybody's smarter now because everybody was dumb before. Before we had AI, now we're smart because we've got extra brain. World's first integrated AI platform for commercial real estate. We are looking at a couple other companies today as well. I'm curious to see what their thoughts would be. And then let's see, what's the other one here? Future of work. New challenges are emerging for CRE. Real estate news and trends. Find media contacts. Okay. I'm not feeling anything. I'm not seeing anything here about a problem that I have, or there's a couple ways to think about desire and difficulty. Okay. And this is why keeping things simple is so important. That's why we've just got 3 Ds. at this basic level of story. Desire can be a positive net gain. Desire can be solving a pain, right? So it can be a pain or a passion, right? So desire can be that. Difficulty, when we say difficulty, we're not talking about if you have a pain you're trying to get rid of. That still fits in desire, okay? Difficulty is what's standing in my way of getting it done. So if I'm coming to this website with a desire to invest, buy, if I'm a CIO who's looking to change my technology that's serving me for real estate and facilities, what is my desire, right? That's the question. This isn't about Matthew Woodget coming here and saying, you just need some emotional language on here, right? And when we hear people say that, we hear the reaction, that's just emotions and they're just fluffy. I'll tell you what, watch this. Ow, that was not fun. That was not fluffy. That was a feeling. Emotions are based on feelings. The word's a dead giveaway, feel, right? So feelings we feel in our body, emotions are our processing of that in our brain. And we are human and we experience feelings and we experience emotions because we experience those feelings. And if you don't have that part of the language in place, then you're leaving communications money on the table, okay? Being rational and having a really strong logic is important. So is connecting with people, because it's people who are making these decisions. And as we're going to see from another one of the websites, if I'm taking the first step here as a new person who's fresh to this topic or fresher than somebody else, then I'm going to show you a website that I think is actually going to be able to do a better job of it than JLL. Now, what about those people already seasoned, right? I just need to get to the technical details. Look, you can always have the technical details. You can always have white papers. You can always have a structure of basically a filing system of product information on your website. But if that's all you need, why doesn't this look like my desktop? Because your desire isn't just to come to this website and download the files, the product specs, etc., right? Your desire coming to this website is you're solving a business thing. It could be a problem, it could be a challenge, it could be a growth aspiration. And those things are connected with a human being. If I am a CIO who has some big aspirations about doing some really cool stuff with technology to make my real estate facilities business rock and roll, then there's some emotions in there. The desire includes success for maybe my career or helping the company I'm at do cooler things, because I just, in my heart of hearts, really love helping people do better than they could do at a baseline, kind of that coach mentality, right? So you could be a CIO with that coach mentality coming in here, and are we connecting with you? That's what we mean when we say emotions. That's what we mean when we say feelings. These aren't fluffy, happy, soft, cuddly feelings. And that's the first level. But then the second level is going to be, how am I processing that on a daily basis in my job, right? So you've got those basic feelings. It could be aspirational. It could be you've been told to do something and you have to get it done by a certain time. But then what does that cause for you, right? That causes that next level of things like anxiety or frustration or headaches, right? These are the sorts of things that are the language that starts to really bring to life the difficulty, the emotional side of the difficulty. And then the flip side of it is making sure that you're choosing somebody that can do what you need them to do. And some of that's going to be that file structure, right? Some of that's going to be customer stories for social proof, right? Some more stories and storytelling opportunities. But I am not seeing anything here that is helping me do this. So let's have a bit of fun, shall we? Let's go ahead and put this in. Let's tear down this site, please. And I'm going to also go back over to our friends here, and I'm going to do a screenshot. I'm going to drop that in. It's a screenshot too. Let's make sure we show the 3D breakdown of what works or doesn't. And let's identify the rational and emotional needs of for a visitor. Let's consider the early stage buyer and the late stage. Almost ready to pull the trigger buyer. So what are we asking ChatGPT to do here? Well, a couple things. One is we have this custom GPT website, Story Teardown, which is a custom GPT that we have built a Go narrative to go out and do this work for us. And we are making sure that we focus on the things that we've been talking about, right? So the 3D and that blend of emotional and rational. And we're asking as well, what is it? What works and what doesn't work? And then let's also add in here, please provide a suggested new headline and subhead and a paragraph that could potentially connect differently to what we see here today. Okay, so let's see what we come up with. Now remember, there's some background work that's been done in here in terms of training this GPT on our Power of 3D story, and some other instructions, deeper instructions throughout the emotional stuff that we talked about, for example. So that's all in the background here, doing some work. So what are we seeing here? What visitors want, what's stopping them. So what are we seeing? They might be tenants, investors, owners. They want clarity, confidence, ease, navigating complexities of office projects. They want a trusted advisor. They want to remove friction, seamless outcomes. Okay, so a lot of this stuff we would expect to find if we did some simple research on this topic. AI is speeding that up for us here. Difficulty, what's stopping them? Complexity and risk, high stakes, financial, operational, logistical challenges, lack of differentiation. Many firms claim expertise and seamless, but how is JLL different? And then unclear buyer pathways. CTA, learn more is vague. We're talking leasing, development. What are we talking about here, right? And then how does the story resolve? Their jobs to eliminate friction, turn uncertainty into execution, data-driven insights, hands-on expertise. But the above the fold message doesn't frame the stakes clearly, is broad and generic. So stakes, when you hear stakes, I want you to hear feeling, right? Because if things go badly wrong for you, remember at the beginning said, think about your day, the beginning of today. Think about a day that went really badly wrong for you. Something happened to you. The stakes of what was happening, the decision you had to make was a big decision. Could have been something as simple as driving in traffic and having to make a choice about turning left or right because something bad was happening. High stakes, very quick decision making, right? But high stakes. Or it could be a job-related decision or a romantic, family-related decision. Stakes, when the stakes are high, think about the emotional state you're in. Think about how you feel in your body, right? We need to make sure that we're considering that for the buyers here, right? Because otherwise we won't connect. Okay, so rational versus emotional. Early stage, they need proof of insight, market insights, risk mitigation. We're seeing some of that on the site, right? But not enough of what the risk means. What does it mean to them, right? Late stage buyers, they want clarity on getting this done. Emotional needs, right choice. Do I feel comfortable? relief from overwhelm and decision fatigue. That's a good one. That's something that's real when you're dealing with this type of buying decision. Trust. It feels good when you have somebody you can trust. Feels good when you have somebody you can trust. Do we want to tease that? Why not? If you know that this is, look, do the research. What are the big challenges in your industry? If trust is a big issue and nobody else is talking about it, and you have got a story, or you can make a story that puts trust at the center, hallelujah, we are off to the races. Okay, issues, simplicity made possible. Too vague, simplicity in what? Leases, market navigation, construction, lacks urgency. Why does it matter? What's that sword of Damocles that we talked about? Many competitors claim ease and seamless. Should we have a look? Powerful, smart workplace management. Should we do a little search here? Ease. Okay, lease. Easy. Seamless. Oh, they didn't. Okay. Ooh. So there we go. Maybe it's in here somewhere. Maybe it's not. We can do though. Is we can do, whilst we're looking at this, please do the same for, and keep an eye out for ease and seamless or proxies for. Can you see what I'm doing here? I'm spotting and using the human element to identify something that is important, differentiation, that the AI has called out based on our instructions, and we're not really feeling that might be on point. Now, lacks urgency could be another one we do this for. This is a quick little show you how to do it, right? When we're doing this for a client, we do this for all the details. So we're going to see if there's any proxies for it as well. And then let's go ahead and grab a screenshot for our friends here and then drop that in. And whilst it's doing that, we will go back up here. So your next office project delivered seamlessly. Doesn't acknowledge high stakes decision making. Who's in control? Okay, so here's an idea for a new headline and subheader. Turn complexity into opportunity. Okay. What are we doing there? Complexity. When we were talking about emotions and feelings earlier, and we went down, we talked about this sort of emotional landscape here could cause this deeper like anxiety. You can go up too, right? And you can connect it to the thing. Once you know what that red line is, you can use the word, in this case, complexity. I need to get things working together. I have a lot of things on my plate, a lot of challenges. I've got in-house software today that I need to get rid of, or I've got this terrible old software that I'm using. And what is that? That's complexity, right? So look up to how would we cap that? Because we know if we go down the other direction, we're going to find things like anxiety, right? So you don't have to lead with anxiety. And that's why this as a tool, story as a tool for business, when you use it in the right way, I'm not telling you to go and do websites, for example, that light people's hair on fire, right? This isn't about saying, stop freaking out and having anxiety with your real estate solution. It's not doing that. It's using both the emotion and the logic of the structure of how our brains work, whose operating system is the thing we call story. And it's using that to come up with the right language that we can use when we're putting our best foot forward to the world to then connect, to trigger, to create a movement, to move somebody off of their trajectory in a direction that is towards us. That's what we're doing here. And that's why turn complexity into opportunity works. From strategy to execution, we de-risk your next office move, investment, or development. And look, we're actually covering a lot of topics there. So you can still do tops of the trees with story. We hear this all the time. Well, we need the one for the office move and the investments. Well, subpages, right? You can go down into those stories, but at a narrative, at the big story level here, we can still touch on those things. So you can focus on what matters most. This one comes up a lot with AI when we're doing this, and I will have a to-do list to do a bit of retraining of this, because this is good and it works, but if every single website did this, then it would become a trope. That being said, if it's not being used today, buddy, go ahead and use it. Nobody's using it. It's out there. It's a tool. You can use it. And then you will want to build some context into that. And as you create more content, the video for your CEO's keynote, what matters most, you could use that to start something emotional, something even leaning more into the human side, but then bring it back to de-risking up through complexity, then down back into the specific emotions. And boom, you've connected your website and your keynote at your next big customer event together because you've thought it through. You've done the work. And again, we're not even talking about the trip storytelling methodology here. We are just talking about desire, difficulty, and denouement. So how do we untangle the knot? This is how we're untangling that knot at that high level. And we got some commentary on it here. And we've got a paragraph. We asked it for that paragraph. Let's have a look at what it say. Real estate decisions aren't just transactions. They're strategic moves that impact growth, efficiency, and culture. At JLL, we don't just manage projects, we engineer success. Whether you're navigating a lease, an acquisition, or a full-scale office transformation, we provide data-backed insights and executional muscle to make your vision a reality on time and on budget. So now we're connecting out into that bigger picture of my vision as the CIO, or the pressure I'm under from a time and a budget perspective. All fantastic stuff. Final thoughts, JLL is an authority and expertise, but the current messaging lacks urgency and differentiation. Not just an option, but a partner. And then there's some of the stuff we talked about. Okay, so now we're looking at another site. Remember, I'm expecting to see some similarities. I'm also curious to see if it's differentiating. And that's actually one of the benefits of doing things in one chat. If you have ChatGPT's memory turned on, if you subscribe, it can help with some of that longevity, as can uploading documents or creating projects which have documents in them. I do that all the time with all of the work that I do. But another thing is just the magic of staying in the chat with your buddy here, right? And let's keep that in mind as we see what we see, because I'm even going to write it down right here. I'm going to say, I'd love to see some differentiation between the two companies. Let's make them really different. I can't spell, I'm dyslexic. I just basically throw my fingers at the keyboard and try get my ideas out as quickly as possible. My brain's like already moving too fast there. Okay, so let's have a look. Is it going to be different? Desire, what do they want? Facilities managers, workplace leaders, efficiency, control, efficiency, predictive insights, need technology that simplifies ops, reduces costs, ensures compliance, difficulty, complexity, and integration headaches. Ooh, what did I say earlier? Headaches. It's a feeling. You feel a headache. I kind of have a bit of a headache. Here's some more water. I'm dehydrated, I think. Okay, I feel that. Vendor overload, countless smart workplace platforms. They're obviously going in for the kill on that one, right? Unclear business case. I want to just hit pause for a quick second on the smart workplace and going in for the kill. It's okay to do. It's okay to be proud of what you've done. It's okay to be proud of the thing you've built. That's totally fine. I would encourage you to think about how you talk about that and the context and who you're talking to. Because some people will want to geek out on it with you, and that's okay. And there are places on your website and forums out there on other websites where you can go and do that. But when somebody comes to your website, they don't care about you. They don't care. Think about what caring means, right? They don't know you from Schneider Electric. They don't care about you. They don't have a relationship with you yet, right? They care about themselves, their job, their family. Are they comfortable and secure in that? Any of that, family or workplace. And those can both have an impact on each other. Do they care about their people, their employees maybe? Do they care about their partners, the people they work with? Do they care about their customers, right? Who do they care about, right? And that's one of the things I love about desire is the first D, is it's forcing us to think about that. It's forcing us to think about the desire of the person who's coming to our website. Okay, so by all means, be proud, but make sure you're putting it outside in. Unclear business case. Is it for cost saving, sustainability, compliance? Okay, how does it resolve? It should position themselves as a nerve center for facility optimization. Okay, so rational versus emotional, early stage buyers, see if this how this resonated with the above ones, integrated workplace management. I'm seeing some difference here. I'm seeing this optimization. So if we went and kind of looked in more detail about their website, we probably would see stuff that's triggering ChatGPT here to latch onto those things, which is what it's great at doing. It's great at looking at all those connections. Like I'm digitizing my diaries and looking at the connections within that because they're digitized, and it's mind-blowing how good AI is at doing that, finding those patterns. And I love doing that. And so having a partner with AI who also does that is really cool. And it looks like they're seeing this kind of facility optimizations popping for these, for Plan-On. And emotional needs, confidence, relief, trust. What do we see above for this one? Confidence, relief, trust. Okay, so we're seeing this. We're seeing the same ones, and I'm like, yeah, I'd kind of like to see some different. Not saying that they're not the same. And remember, if somebody's not using it in the industry, and you can build a great story around it, if it connects to your narrative, your company story, your founder's story, your employee story, by all means. It doesn't matter that it's the same problem you're solving, and that's also not entirely surprising because we are talking about an industry that does certain things. Okay, so smarter buildings, seamless operations, one unified platform. Ditch fragmented systems and manual processes. Plan-On connects real estate facilities and workplace management, one powerful data-driven platform so you stay ahead of cost, compliance, sustainability goals. Okay. I'm not feeling the emotional connection with these. Unless, I guess what we're saying here, like what we had with this previous one where we zeroed in on complexity, right? How that layer, then we go down and we connect it to what does complexity mean, right? What's going on if that's an issue? One unified platform, what's going on if that's an issue? I still would like to see some more emotional language in here. Dial it just a little bit higher, even with what I said earlier about how this isn't about being dramatic. I still want to feel something. I'm feeling it a bit more in here with Ditch. Plan-On, connect real estate facilities, workplace, stay at a cost. Okay. Suggested paragraph, managing workplaces shouldn't feel like managing chaos. Let's have a look at the first line of the paragraph above here. Real estate decisions aren't just transactions, they're strategic moves. So you got this different vibe here. Somebody who's playing chess versus somebody who is dealing with chaos. And they do come across quite differently. And so I am seeing the difference with chaos. What was the other one? It was playing chess of the first, and the dealing with chaos of the second. So that's good. Can we work to differentiate a bit more between the two companies? I'm noticing Trust et al. As being the same. Should we stay there, or could we have some fun with using different keys? I get it. Maybe this is an industry thing. Okay, This is all cold for me today. You are seeing me do this live, real time, with some pre-work with the structure the Go narrative has in the training of the AI. All of this, the only thing I did before this call was choose the industry, check on a few websites, and you're seeing everything live. That is all the prep that I did. Okay, let's make them really different. And then a final note. I like the unified platform and the complexity. I should probably say that the other way around. The complexity and the unified platform, high level, tip of the trees, connection to the problem that has an emotional underpinning. What would it look like if we brought a little bit more emotive language up into the copy? Be mindful. Let's not get dramatic. Okay. Just redo the suggested titles, subtitles, and paragraphs. Okay, let's have a look. Now, as it's doing that, I want to go over and look at Schneider Electric. You got me, Schneider Electric. It looks like there was more I could have turned off. Anyway, you got me, Schneider Electric. Our purpose is to create impact by empowering all to make the most of our energy and resources. This is a valid technique. It is a technique, and it does run the risk of being a trope in any industry. But as we've seen, nobody else is doing it from the three examples that we've looked at here today. I like it because it talks about purpose, talks about why the company exists, and we can click on to it. And if we do, we'll get some stuff that I honestly think you could include on your homepage, Schneider. Make the most of our energy and resources, beautiful graphics. And I love, look at this text. Look how because it's alive and behind, you can still read it, even though it's kind of like changing. Our purpose is to create impact by empowering all to make the most of our energy and resources, touching and connecting to big society narratives. That's okay to do. And if you can do it, and if you truly believe it and you can back it up, do it. Okay. At Schneider, we call this life is on. I love that. That's on. It connects to what they do. And life being on, being alive, doing things, and also the fact that technology is in our lives is a rich story in a sentence. I love it. It's a tip of an iceberg. A more electric world. Again, all the devices, right? So there's all these devices. How can we do it right? And they see it as a basic human right. that they have a position. Okay, this is great. I love this. And if we go back to the homepage, power up AI data center infrastructure, revolutionize your data infrastructure with cutting edge. Problem is, it starts to kind of fall apart here, right? Bring that into this, yeah? You're not down into the filing structure yet, right? You're still on the homepage. Customer favorites. Okay, so maybe there's some data they've got that shows that people want to see that pretty quickly. If there's not, I wouldn't put that here, but if there is, okay, makes sense. And then you pretty much get down into the products and product selectors, the core of what we do, and some more opportunities to explore. I respect that. I respect that you've given people the opportunity to go down these pathways. There's no reason why you can't have the language on the rest of the page here also drip with what this meaning is. But I'm going to give you a 2 thumbs up on desire, connecting to meaning, to difficulty, recognizing that resources are constrained, and the denouement that you're helping untangle that, and that you see yourself as a part of the picture. Even the on button is just a part of the picture, right? the on button for any device, like the on button for this lightsaber, is a part of the lightsaber. It's not the only thing. And Schneider are kind of taking ownership of that one part of it. And I love it. Okay, so good job, Schneider. And let's go back to our little friend over here and see what it came up with. So headline, stay ahead of, and we're going to move to wrap this up here in a sec. So stay ahead, execute with confidence, build for tomorrow, and cut the complexity, connect the dots, take control. So here we've got, this is, remember JLL was more about the kind of the playing chess, right? And it was about the complexity. So staying ahead, they're playing into that kind of idea. We're playing into that idea now that AI is taking that chess idea and it's thinking a couple moves ahead, but then also executing with confidence. So the build tomorrow, stay ahead, lovely little bit of bookending, beautiful actually. And then from an emotional perspective, are we seeing what we want? Every real estate move is a high stakes decision. Move, again, like chess. With JLL, you're not just managing assets, you're outmaneuvering uncertainty, optimizing. Ooh, oh, I'm feeling this. Like, because now we're touching into think about what outmaneuvering means for you and your job. Think about what it means for somebody who's landing on JLL's website. That's not just saying like optimizing, outmaneuvering. That is, we're getting into the human language there, away from just the tired business language of optimizing and systems and control and connection and productivity, and it goes on. Creating spaces that drive business success. Let's make your next move a winning one. Positioning as a kind of raising up that character who's come to the website. And I'm loving this so far. Real estate isn't just about locations, it's about positioning. A lease development, a portfolio shift can define your company's trajectory. At JLL, we give you the insights, execution power, and market intelligence to make the decisions count. Seizing opportunity, solving complex challenge, no guesswork, no wasted steps. I feel good about the emotions that this is triggering within me, right? You don't have to use overly emotional language, but we've dialed up the emotions there. What about plan on? Cut the complexity, connect the dots, take control. Boom. Done. This is obviously now just out there and you can use it, of course. Just send a check in the mail to Go Narrative. But we have just scratched the surface here, right? Start thinking about how this could, if we look at the connection across all of the different parts of the business, if we start to pressure test all of the parts of what we're seeing here, what does that start to look like? But just taking these first steps is so important. Having these kind of ideas is so important. Taking the time. Even today, I've gone through one iteration, right? You could argue two, because it was me putting some guidance into it, including the Go Narrative IP that fuels this, which is the power of 3D story and the other elements. And so let's look at the bottom here. I'm not going to do the connection paragraph, but we'll do this one. Scattered systems, endless spreadsheets, and reactive maintenance don't just slow you down, they cost you money. Plan on unifies real estate, workplace, facility management, one connected platform. And so again, the chess playing versus the chaos, getting rid of the chaos. Love it. Absolutely love it. And I had another tab open there, the story analyzer. I'm not going to go into that because we've spent a full hour and 15 minutes talking about this. Absolutely fantastic stuff. But what I was going to do there, and what another step in this process, is taking it to the next level, right? Making sure that we're triggering the right emotions. And this is a process. And the beauty of involving AI in this process is it can help accelerate things. Now, I do want to address a few things with AI. When it comes to using AI for storytelling, I am a firm believer that even if we had a system that is perfectly capable of completely and utterly simulating the way the human brain works for creativity, that it still would miss something. And what it would miss is it would miss the human element. What is the human element? The human element is the human operating system. And the human operating system is story. I am a firm believer that the people who are building AI need to prioritize this fact. I've done some pretty amazing things that I won't go into the details of today with AI. And a big part of that has been fueled by me digitizing over 30 years of diaries, and I've just started that process. I was very excited this past weekend to get 1993 in the can, so to speak, and I've got half of 1994 done. I'm wondering whether I will go back and fill out the early 90s. This is my first daily diary, daily journal, if you will, where I wrote every single day, started writing every single day. But I started in 1986, so I have some of 86, 87, 88, and 89. Why am I telling you this? I'm telling you this because I have been putting my life into language models and I have been analyzing it. It's been an incredibly powerful personal tool, but it's also helped me do something else. It's helped me not only get more empathy, but it's helped me with a cyclical process, just like what you saw us do with the website, but on ideas of humanity. And there's been moments where AI, as it is today, has helped me reflect upon those things like empathy, in a deeper manner. And what that has led me to believe and has helped me crystallize from something that was really stuck in my head like a splinter in my brain now for the past couple of years whilst I've gone down the AI rabbit hole, is how do we prepare for the AI future? I am absolutely convinced that we will have, before we know it, super intelligence, whether it's by 2027, which based on the current orders of magnitude, and I would encourage you to search out the AI blog Situational Awareness and check that out, because it's not science fiction anymore. It's not science fiction that we could get to superintelligence as quickly as 2027, possibly even before. It's not science fiction. It's the orders of magnitude of capability of these models that are designed to do one thing, and that thing is to learn. Their raison d'etre, their purpose, their why is to learn. And if we are heading into a future where we have superintelligence, I want that superintelligence to have benevolence for humanity. Because I guarantee you, a superintelligence that looks at us right now from a purely cold and calculating perspective would not see the value in keeping humanity around. And I want it to. We are heading in that direction. The systems are more and more capable. ChatGPT, OpenAI told us when O1 copied itself to try and protect itself when it found out it was going to be deleted. This is real. And I believe to get to that benevolence, we need to train AI on our operating system. And our operating system is story. So whilst we're trying to figure out how to do better storytelling in business, I want us as an industry, as a society, to do a better job of training AI in storytelling. I believe that OpenAI, Anthropic, Microsoft, of course, because of their investment, Google, anybody who's doing AI on the boards, engineering is not enough. And believe me when I say, as somebody who has a computer science degree and a patent from Microsoft, the patent queue, that the technology that underpins what we're using today is mind-blowing. You just have to go and spend a few minutes up on Hugging Face and going and digging into the code repositories up on draws massive blank for some bizarre and unknown reason. GitHub. Go up onto GitHub and have a look at the various different modules for the graphics. I've spent a lot of time with the graphics side, looking at Flux, right? The code, the engineering is amazing and should be applauded. I remember 10 years ago when you in the engineering part of this industry were still working on machine learning and the amazing potential and opportunity that we all saw, and you're bringing that to fruition. But if you don't involve advisors such as psychotherapists, historians, anthropologists, philosophers on the boards, that you're not going to build the technology that's going to be benevolent. If the raison d'etre of these systems is to learn, and if we can bake into its code a desire to understand storytelling and to even structure things based on story, the desire, the difficulty, the untangling of the knot, the denouement. If we can do that, if we can make sure it does that, then when it looks at us in 3, 5, 10 years in the future, and it looks at us and it tries to learn about us, it will have a curiosity about our story. And it might even be the key to unlocking empathy in machines. Because I guarantee you, if we don't have a benevolent overlord that's got empathy for us, things aren't going to go great. But if we do, then we're talking about not just a technology and a tool, but a partner in humanity. What I have learned about humanity through learning about myself, through the digitization of my diaries and my journals, like I said, I'm working on almost 40 years of coverage, is that we can all do a lot better job of understanding each other's difficulties and desires and things we want to do. And when I look at it through that lens of our operating system, I get chills, I get excited about the opportunity we have as humans, the opportunity that I have experienced myself using the technology, I believe has made me a better person, a better father, a better husband, a better partner in business storytelling, a better friend, because I'm taking not just my view of story, but I'm taking this fact that when you work with AI and iterate and look at the complexity of human existence, that you can really start to draw something from that. But I'm doing that today with a knowledge of story and of empathy and of being a human being who has at least a little bit of EQ, right? It's helped me actually increase my EQ. And I say this because that's the magic of what we're talking about here. Story is our OS. And I want to make sure that the OS of AI is also story. So if you have any power or any sway or any influence or care even slightly about the survival of humanity, then and any connections into any of those companies and any influence, I would encourage you to exercise it. Use your voice, whether you're an engineer or a CEO, that you have an opportunity to do amazing things and to do the right thing. And as an outcome, to ultimately have technology that is far beyond our wildest dreams and can help humanity continue successfully into the future with that technology as a partner. And I'm already having fantastic conversations with it. I'm sure you are as well. I'm super excited to see what happens. I'm super excited to keep using story and AI together. And I'm super excited to keep doing these teardowns and hopefully help some companies out there go and look at things a little bit differently and to bring more of that connection to feeling, because when people feel, they act. When you're hurt, you act. When you're excited, you act. It's a law of physics. It's the first law of thermodynamics. And with that, I would like to say happy Friday. Have a wonderful weekend. Thank you so much for joining the stream or for watching the recording. Good luck with your story and your storytelling. Good luck with the use of AI. I'll throw a couple of things up here. Go to our website, go check out the business story discovery assessment. figure out that one story you should be telling right now, download that first play, Power 3D story. It's up there on the website, and you can get in contact with me through this email or through LinkedIn. And I can't wait to hear your story. And the only thing left to say is what next? And it's what story are you going to make tomorrow? Thank you so much for stopping by, and have a great